The writing has been on the wall for a very long time, and now Hollywood is finally being forced to take a long, hard look at everything that's going on and realize that they are failing right now. The 2022 box office is the wake-up call that they should have got last year. They tried to make all the excuses in the world that, oh no, the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic, those are the reasons that all our movies are failing. Even though you had Spider-Man No Way Home do almost $2 billion globally. Even though earlier this year you had Top Gun Maverick make $1.5 billion. They continued to blame all of their problems on the pandemic, and that was a big mistake. Because to be quite frank, one of the reasons that people are tuning out of legacy media, legacy entertainment, Disney, Warner Brothers, everything out there is because they no longer feel like it fits their values. So many people cannot trust these woke corporations anymore and are simply walking away. It doesn't matter if you're talking about theme parks, movie theaters, streaming. It's all down. And right now, it is a disaster for Hollywood. Looking forward to 2023, it may finally be that these people understand that they have failed. Hollywood outlook for 2023 is extremely bumpy. Fasten your seatbelts. Hollywood is in for another bumpy ride in 2023. With the economy once again on the brink of a recession and cutbacks hitting hard all over town, the entertainment industry is bracing for more challenges in the year ahead. Among the many question marks for 2023, will the movie business revive to pre-pandemic levels? When will the high drama at Disney and Warner Bros. Discovery settle down? And how viable is streaming as a business model for legacy media companies anyway? Those are some great questions. And unfortunately, all of them spell bad news for Hollywood. Well, unfortunate for them, very fortunate for those of us who have been calling this stuff out from the beginning. Woke Hollywood is dying, and that is a good thing. In an ordinary year, Will Smith's Oscar slap of Chris Rock might stand out as a signature event, but that onstage incident, as shocking as it was soon overshadowed by two seismic developments. The Warner Brothers Discovery merger, and of course, Netflix dying and Disney having Bob Chapek step down to let Bob Iger come back in the building. Those things were massive for Hollywood. There's no doubt about that. But when you look at what is happening at the box office this year, they're saying, hey guys, look, it's going to hit $29 billion in 2023. Don't worry. But unfortunately, you look back at 2019, it's still not even close to what they were doing before. And these, of course, are just their projections, which they're not likely to hit. Take a look at Disney. Let's look specifically at Disney, shall we? Report says woke Disney faces dismal box office future. Flop after flop, disappointment after disappointment for Disney at the box office. They cracked the $4 billion mark for this year. Look at this. Walt Disney crosses $4 billion at global box office, propped by Avatar: The Way of Water. That might seem like a lot. That might seem like, oh, look, Disney's doing pretty good. Well, until you factor in how much money it costs to get those box office numbers, they'll be lucky if they break even this year. And especially when you compare it to what they were doing in 2019. Back before they had all these controversies, back before families walked away from Disney. What do you think the number was then? They're bragging about $4 billion for this year. 2019. Walt Disney Studios closes out 2019 with record $11 billion globally. Of course, that was during the Fox acquisition, all that stuff as well. So if you count Fox titles, it's $13 billion. Think of what a drastic fall off that is. You can't blame that on the pandemic. There are other things going on. Of course, the economy is in shambles. That is a big factor where people decide to choose to spend their money. But that just exacerbates the problem that was already there. That companies like Disney, companies like Netflix, all these woke corporations out there that have been trying to indoctrinate people and shoving identity politics down people's throats, they are pushing their audience away. Hollywood lost more than $500 billion in market value in 2022. Yeah, Netflix lost over 50% of its stock value. Disney lost 45% of its stock value. Nearly everybody was down. Really, the only people that didn't get harmed as bad as everybody else was Comcast, the parent company for things like Universal. Their stock's only down around 25-30%. So I guess they're the winners of this contest. Not a surprise considering that Universal seems to have a better feeling for respecting their fans when you look at theme parks, things like that. But like this article mentions, can we look at streaming? That's one of the reasons that the outlook is bumpy when you talk about streaming. What happened to the biggest streamer around? What happened to Netflix this year? Netflix stock craters, 200,000 subscribers lost, predicts losing 2 million more this year. their stock cratered over 50%. They ended up firing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, desperately trying to cut costs. And of course, some of the first things they cut, the woke garbage, the LGBTQ plus specific programming that's only catered to a very specific corner of the market that doesn't have mass appeal. Oh, that's hateful to cut those things. Well, it's one of the first things to go when your company's actually in a financial crisis. So what are we going to do then? Maybe we'll just make streaming like TV. We'll add ads in. That's what we'll do. We'll go to these companies. We'll get them to pay for ads. How did that work for Netflix? Netflix giving advertisers their money back after missing viewership targets. Look at this. On Thursday, Digiday reported Netflix is falling short of ad-supported viewership guarantees made to advertisers and is allowing advertisers to take their money back for ads that have yet to run. Their specific shortfall amounts vary, but in some cases, Netflix has only delivered roughly 80% of the expected audience, according to 5 agency execs who spoke to the outlet. So Netflix thought they had this grand idea. They ended up having to give refunds because not enough people watched their platform. Well, what about Disney, right? Disney, I'm sure Disney Plus, there's been so much growth on Disney Plus. It's so incredible. Just look at the last quarter. Disney Plus lost $1.5 billion. Disney lost $1.5 billion in streaming in just a 3-month period. It's been a disaster. And it's something I've been saying for a very long time. The streaming industry, it was never what people really thought it was going to be. The reason that Netflix was able to do it is because they weren't the ones that were making the majority of the content that people were watching. The original content wasn't even something that was in huge demand for Netflix originally. It was everything else. But now that people are taking back these shows that people watch over and over again, like NCIS, Grey's Anatomy, like those are the things that are constantly now at the top of Netflix still. When people take The Office away, when people take Parks and Recs away, and they put it on their own streaming platform, all of a sudden Netflix is suffering. At the same time, when you have places like Amazon with Rings of Power, garbage, bullshit, trash, when you have Disney Plus sinking tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into Star Wars and Marvel shows that don't perform, they're losing money hand over fist. Woke Hollywood is dying and they don't know what to do. Because the reality is the only answer is to not only cut stupid costs wherever they can, but also just get back to entertaining people. That will solve all their problems. It will solve Disney's problems at the theme parks, at streaming, and at the box office. If you go away from the identity politics virtue signaling, if you go away from disrespecting the source material, from pushing a narrative at every opportunity, and to openly indoctrinating children into your worldview, if you move away from all that, that is the first step, and that is the only way that they will be saved. Now, they might not fail next year or the year after that. It's going to take sustained losses year after year after year. But if they don't arrest this slide, if they don't stop this slide, woke Hollywood will be dead. Something else will pop up. Things are already popping up to take their place. It's pretty obvious, looking at the landscape, what they need to do. It's only a question of when will it happen. Will it happen after it's way too late? Will some of these companies have to file for bankruptcy before they finally get it through their heads? Or are they so stuck in this? Are they just willing to take losses because that's the way their ideology works? There's one thing I can tell you for sure. I have no problems. I'm not upset at all in any way, shape, or form about woke Hollywood's death spiral, because to be quite frank, they deserve it. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. I'll talk to you guys later.